So, it's easy for us in a trucking world to just go based off truck count. I think that's part of the equation. I could tell you, hey, we're going to 100 trucks. It just doesn't tell the whole story probably. But, if we wanted to start with a truck count, I think the goal there is for us to add, 30 to 40 units. Take a pause. Don't do this constant state of having to grow. I think we've got the customer base to support that. We add those on, and we then make sure that our foundations can support it again. We're in the process and have been in building a foundation that can support that growth, and we're ready for it now. I'm sure there's things that'll pop up over time that we may need to add, just staff or something, but I think we're in a good spot to support that growth from a customer standpoint, driver recruit funnel, and now it's going and getting the assets, and that's why we kind of chose this direction of partners to get the trucks. And then we do what we're good at, which is the continued sales and management of those relationships. So I think, getting us to probably 75, 80 trucks is a good first goal. From a truck count wise, it allows us then to go and grow that sales arm and the brokerage arm. That's the backdrop, which keeps us even more financially stable than we would have been if we were just growing trucks. So one leads to the other.
Excellent. No, great feedback. Thank you for that. So how are you going to get there?
If you'd asked me that question 3 months ago, it would have been a slightly different answer. But we already had a plan, and we were ready to start executing it. And it was going to be through owner operators. It kind of does the same thing that we're looking to do now. Someone else brings in their truck, which is the main asset. We provide the customer freight, the trailers, the dispatch, the back office support, all of those things. But it allows us to grow and take over these customers that want us to do business with them without a lot of risk or taking on extra debt. In the truck, we can go use our debt for the trailers and other things we do to grow. Being at the size business we are, we're capped to how much financing we can get for trucks. Trucks are, considered a riskier asset. I could go buy, 8 trucks, but if we could go and get 30, whether it be through owner operators or through, partners that come in and buy trucks, that makes sense for us to let us keep our focus on the stability and the customer base and the retention of drivers and all of those things that go into the backside of it. So owner operators, I think, will still be a part of the mix. I think, we talk about it often with Eric and Anton and how we can use some of the 18 loaded guys to add some owner operators still. But through this relationship with investors to come and essentially make some money off of it, we as Rangeway carriers are still offering the same type of deal that we would offer to an owner operator. It's just someone else owns the asset and we place the driver in it. The
Right.
math in the back end is still exactly the same. And, our operating expense is relatively the same. There's a few variables that go in it, but that's the safer way to grow, I think, especially in a year where people are uncertain and you go and tell them, hey, we're looking to grow, and everyone's like, or we show them the rates that we're getting and the revenue on lower miles that we're getting, and it makes people think that you're making it up. And so I think our proof's in the pudding. If we show that, it legitimizes what we're saying versus us just saying things.
Right.
So that's
proving
really the core. Yeah, that's right. That's the core way of where I see how to get there right now. Is it's given us an ability to go and focus on things that are important. Not to say that at some point, maybe we take on some trucks and do some different things with them internally as well. But I think giving us the ability to focus on the support and the stability and the customer base and the retention and all those things that making us a good place to run trucks efficiently on high dollar freight, low miles, I think that gives us the ability to grow quicker and more efficiently.
Good. Excellent. What are your long-term goals? So if we talk 3 to 5 years, what does it look like?
I think about that often. I get asked fairly often, surprisingly. I think that I have learned the lessons of the last 10 years, let's go into a little bit of a story. The lessons over the last 10 years have set me into a place to where I think I'm 10 years ahead of most people that entered trucking. There's two ways that people get into trucking. Their family owned the company and they just start taking over. They've got a different view of how they got there. They really didn't struggle as much. Probably they didn't know the struggles of, their parent or grandparent that started it. I did. I've done everything, good times, bad times. We learned the hard way how money works, how to move it around, how to restructure debt, how to work with banks, local banks, how to, when we're over leveraged, under equipment, everything in between. I learned directly. Not saying I'm an expert. I've got plenty still
Sure.
to learn,
Yeah.
but I think I've got a good core function. I'm 38 years old. Started the company from scratch when I was 27, and I think I've got the life lessons through it of how I want to grow it and how I want to do it. But I also see that scale alone is not the end goal. I do feel I've got a lot to offer and give into this industry, and I've built tons of relationships that'll leverage all of us in a great place in trucking. I'm not going to sit here and say that in 5 years I'd like to be at 1,000 trucks or 800 trucks or whatever that may be. Could the potential lead to that, leveraging a few of the things and some partnerships and what we're trying to do? Absolutely. And if it goes to there, I feel like I'm in a place as an individual to help guide us to there, but also to be able to make the right hires and know where we need the right people to make that happen, because it's not just me at that point. However, back to your direct answer, 3 to 5 years, I really see settling in, as a short-term 3-year type thing. Truck count wise, we're probably in the mid 150 to 175. Can that go larger? Absolutely. I think that's a good sweet spot though, before we have to make some decisions of where do we long-term want to go. If that's, I'm 41 at that time, I've still got 20 years in me. Trucking's going to evolve and change a lot. And that's what makes me a little bit hesitant. It's always going to be there. It's not going away, but the 5-year goal is impacted by some things we probably can't control. And it's not autonomous trucks. That's not going to impact flatbed for probably 15 years or more, I would assume. It will impact the market overall and driver pool and things of that nature. But I said that to say, I think if we want to talk just truck count, which is what everyone, talks, I think that's a good spot to be in as rangeway. If we look at bigger picture of what we can do and potentially, some acquisitions and things that may come available the next couple of years, it could change that a little bit, but it has to be the right fit and a lot of other things that I know you're fully aware of. But I think the opportunities are going to be there and give us the opportunity, if that pops up, to be very selective on who and how we go about that. A lot of people, are getting out of trucking. The older, generation that have done this for 30 years, they're wanting to get out. A lot of the mid-tier 20 truck companies are not built and hadn't survived through ups and downs. And they made good money the past few years. They're going to kind of want to get out. And then you have your distressed people that, are in the 5 to 20 probably truck range, even 30 and 50 we've seen also. And if you can make selective add-ons there that make sense, then maybe that truck count changes. I personally, the underlying, no matter what or where we end up, we may end up at 500 trucks in 3 years. The underlying theme has to be that we do it controlled, and it's got to be very selective and not just growing to grow, because that's the one thing I've learned. We have to be able to sustain it and support it, not just go and add a bunch of trucks and let's go figure it out. I've watched a couple of companies locally do that. And, one of them just got bought by a huge private equity firm, and, they're making a boatload of money. But he also started out, from a place of, I can just go buy 100 trucks at a time, and I've got a huge, runway to build this. And if I screw up, somebody, family members here ready to stroke another check, and he also, the, family member owned a massive shipping facility here locally. But said that to say, you can grow really fast. They went to 600-800 trucks in 5 years. And they used all kinds of things to get there. The FMVs, true leases, everything in between to get to that, and got to a big exit, as you call it, probably because of it. But I don't think that's obviously there's always looking to get out of it, and how that looks one day, but I have no desire currently. I think you use this example. If somebody offered $1 billion, we'd be stupid, right? Outside of something really silly coming up in the next, 3 to 10 years, I feel like I'm at a place where I want to make some changes and do things a little bit differently in trucking as an industry. And we have the ability to do that. So it's all about execution now. It's a really long-winded answer. So there you go.